What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Most Likely to Day Drink podcast, episode 2, where we sip slow with Culture Convo. I am Terrence, and joining me are my co-creators, Love Lady, who you might also hear called Will occasionally, and the lovely Keita. And this evening, we're going to be bringing you guys what we think is a very good discussion-heavy topic. But before we get into that, we're going to find out what's up in everybody's cup. Keita, what you drinking?
I am drinking a pineapple whiskey mule.
All right.
I found a recipe on Duke and Dame Whiskey Instagram page.
Yeah.
So I'll post the recipe on our Instagram page, but it's really tasty.
Excellent. Share with the people. Will, what you sipping on?
Straight no chaser. It's Kentucky bourbon whiskey. Double oak barrel.
It's keeping it very hardcore this evening. And I was having a tequila cocktail, but as we know, a tragic incident befell that glass, so we had to start over, and I decided to go with a whiskey sour, and yes, may it rest in peace. So we decided to keep it safe and stick with one of my standards, a whiskey sour. So this evening's topic, as I said, I'm definitely feeling several kinds of ways about it. I'm sure that the audience will be as well, and I'm sure that between Keita and Will there will be some opinions. But apparently, and this was not something that I realized before, I believe it was Keita that sent the link to Will and I about this guy, and his name's Kevin Samuels. I'm sure some of you have heard of him already. He will get. And he has feelings about how much airplay he gets off responses to his various podcasts. So I'm sure he'll be delighted to hear that yet another response episode is occurring. But we're happy to give him that airtime because he definitely deserves some responses. But the episode in particular that we are discussing has to do with his thoughts on relationships, specifically the idea that if you are an average person, you should only expect to get average people in your life for dating or relationship purposes. And so we're going to dive into our particular thoughts on that. We're also going to address the video in particular because, we can certainly discuss whether or not that principle is by itself true, but I also want to address the way he addressed the caller that had questions for him that gave rise to the episode. So how do we want to jump into this?
I mean, we can jump into it any way y'all want to jump into it. This was the fact that, first of all, what is average?
Right.
What's average?
Apparently 5.
But what's a 5? What's a 5?
Right. Exactly.
5 is what you said. Hey, so if you taking a test and it's 1 out of 10 and you only get 5 right.
We are not going to compare this to a test. That's what
you asked the question.
No,
I'm giving you.
I understand. Right. I asked the question, but you know what I'm talking about. So
okay, so it's
according to society standards,
right?
What is a 5?
Right.
Wait a second. But so she,
according to society,
she gave herself a number.
I know, but I'm saying, but let's stick on the average aspect first. Let's go back to average. What is considered average? What would you consider average? Either of you?
It is the median on the bell curve. It's the top little. We got the bell curve.
It's going to have to be extremely blunt. When it comes to a woman, what's average?
I mean that's subjective.
You're trying to be safe.
It's subjective. You can't. There's no way. My average is different from anybody else's average.
Let's stick with society in general. What is society's definition of average? Describe what most men would say an average woman looks like.
What they describe an average woman?
Okay. Describe a woman. No. Describe a woman that you would consider a 10. Not you in particular, because I don't want to get you in trouble. Describe a woman that most men would describe as a 10. Would label as a 10.
So other than my wife, right?
Pleasing your wife. Yes, that's what's in most men.
So, you know, a flawless figure, nice proportioned body with, you know, Coca-Cola shape, great complexion, all their teeth in line and straight and white.
Wow.
Okay. It depends on how much detail you want in this. And just someone that you can bring to a party and other people admire them, not only for their looks, but also they can actually hold their own in terms of having conversation and being able to you know, talk and converse and network with people. That's me, at least.
So interesting that you said, interesting one thing that you said, it's not only important that you find them attractive, but it's also important that other people recognize what you recognize too. That's part of it.
I would say most people would want other people to think that their partner is attractive.
Do we think that?
I don't give a care. Well, it doesn't matter what we think. I'm just giving you a perspective of what people think.
Okay.
I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that because most men and even women, you want people to be like, oh, that's you.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
Like we want validation.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I see you, black shirt. I see you, whatever, big earrings.
Right.
I mean, come on now.
I'll give you that. I will give you that. My thing is, we all look different. And just because you look different or I look different from this person over here doesn't take away from my beauty or your beauty, you know?
Right.
I hate that word average. Are you disagreeing?
No, not yet.
Not yet, but you're on your way. You're on your way. That's what that.
It's percolating up. It's percolating up.
But that's just how I see it. Just because I don't look like her or this girl over here, I don't feel like it should take away from my beauty or my qualities, characteristics, whatever, or what I bring to the table.
Yeah. I mean, people like what they like. That is, at least that's how I see it. Like, even like in the cigar industry, you have people, and I know women are different from cigars, but I'm just trying to relate it to something. In the cigar industry, there are people that have a preference for flavored cigars versus traditional, and people that have preferences towards traditional cigars may frown upon those that have, preferences towards flavored cigars. So it's like, but at the end of the day, you like what you like. It's, nothing's really, the best cigar is the one for you, so if you like it, I love it. Right.
I hear you, but I think that relates more to your chemical makeup, which is internal and doesn't change. You can't affect that. I feel like what you like in a person, there's a fair amount of conditioning that goes into that. I mean, we are all raised up to see certain things as attractive, to embrace certain qualities and reject others. There's a whole discussion about colorism we could have as a related topic on this. Obviously we were raised to think certain things were more attractive than others in that. So I don't feel like that's necessarily the most apt comparison. I see where you're going with it, but I think what you feel about a cigar is going to be different from how you approach a person, because that's just based on what we've been taught to sort of see as attractive in our experiences, because we all have some level of what's referred to as confirmation bias. We have a set of beliefs. And once those beliefs are set in, we look for things that are in agreement with that. So we don't necessarily challenge ourselves on what we find attractive very often. We just accept it as it's a fact. It's not, I don't think it's really a fact. I think it's just what we're accustomed to. And those things do evolve. I'm not attracted to the same things now that I was at 17.
Right, because your perception, your experiences, those things have changed.
Yeah, and my awareness of myself has changed.
Yeah, and with all of those changes, your preferences have changed.
Right.
It's just an evolution or development, and that's okay. I don't. I guess I'm looking at this like. Let me ask you this: Do you all feel like he was? Was there anything that you all felt that he was not factual about, or was it just the way he delivered it? Are you all? Was the deliverance what was so? Is that what's the issue, or is it what he said? And
it was both. It was his delivery was real funky, but he would not have gotten through that conversation with me the same way. I can promise you that.
Okay.
But I found very little that he said to be factual. In fact, he was very much in the general the whole time. It was all this, you black women, and this is what y'all do, and deal with the individual. That is one thing that annoys me to no end. And we as black people do that with each other so often. We love to make it about the culture when it's really about you having that individual. He was talking to her like she was the chairperson of the committee of black women that have hurt his feelings throughout his entire life. Like that sounded like personal beef to me almost. Like he would word out.
But he said that on the front end. If you remember at the very beginning, I guess first of all she called. So I guess he has this thing where it's like a disagreement day.
Right? Yeah, so no, she was wrong for calling in.
So she called in, I guess, off script, yes. wanting insight on something that wasn't for that day. Yep. And apparently, when she said, she has a business, he was like, well, this is a business. I'm in a business. Right. He's like, if you went to my website, you could have booked an appointment. So he has a paid service dedicated to what she was wanting.
Yeah.
So in effect, she's actually looking to kind of bypass all he has going on to get a service that he charges for free. Absolutely. And with that being said, he said, I'm going to use this as a teaching lesson. If you remember the video,
that's exactly where he went wrong. That's exactly where he went wrong.
So in that, he was like, I'm going to basically say to you or express to you what I would have otherwise probably said in private or discreetly, but if you want to go there and play stupid games, win stupid prizes, hey, this is what's about to happen. And I think he did it in order to, one, kind of set her straight, but then two, also kind of send warning shots to anybody else that called kind of off script as it related to that subject matter, or even that, again, service that he provides as a paid service. So, I mean, he made no qualms about the fact that, he was using this as a teachable moment.
All right, we've been talking a lot. I'm going to actually defer to Keita on this one because I really want to actually hear what she has to say.
So, unfortunately, there was some truth to what he said. The fact that he was rude with the delivery is what I really had a problem with. But guys do go for a certain type of woman, especially men who feel like they have achieved an upper echelon status. They want arm candy. They don't want the woman who's actually going to be a good woman, who's actually going to be a good mate, who's going to be a helpmate, a good mother, or whatever. They want the arm candy.
Right. We're speaking in general right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're
speaking in general.
I'll speak in generals.
Yeah, we're speaking in general, but that doesn't mean that is 100% the case with every successful man.
Absolutely.
Or with every, in general, yes, you're going to run into those men who they're not thinking about what she can bring to the table. They're just thinking about how good are you going to look on my arm? Right. Am I going to get that validation from my boys, from my family, whatever, especially if they're in a position where they are seen a lot publicly. They don't want just what they would consider average woman
Right.
hanging on their arm.
Right.
Now his delivery was jacked up. He does sound like a wounded animal. Like he sounds like he was rejected a whole lot when he was younger. And now he has a little bit of money. He can dress nice, you know, he can clean up very well. So now he's taking his chance to get revenge on all the, as he calls it, broads that think that they're more than they actually are.
Right.
You know what I heard? You know what? When I heard him, who I thought about? I thought about the movie. You remember the movie Hitch?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly like I thought about him, but like the dark version of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, but the biggest problem was the fact that she came in downgrading herself.
She did.
Yeah.
She did.
That was a whole different discussion.
Yeah,
like,
she came
like
in downgrading herself. And I've seen in some cases where confidence can take you a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Confidence can take you a long way. I've seen some, I'm just gonna be real right now. I've seen some what I consider not to be attractive women so I've seen what I consider not to be attractive. And they have guys coming at them like from every direction.
Absolutely.
And I actually, there was one, I used to work in a club, and there were two girls that used to come every Saturday night. These girls weren't what society would consider cute, but they had guys all over them like all night long. And I was standing beside one of the bouncers one night, and we were just having a conversation, and he was like, it's her confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them come in here with this confidence like they are the two best looking women in the club.
Hey, like bow down.
Yeah.
You have to bow down confidence.
Yeah, they are extremely sure of themselves.
Hey, they were before they were big girls too, wasn't they?
One of them was, yes.
Oh,
the other
one. Oh yeah. I'm just saying, cause man, they look.
That sound you hear is the inbox filling up right now.
Yeah.
Can we tell you, like I have a soft spot for like, I would say, the BBW women with pretty faces. They have a confidence like you cannot tell them shit at all.
I feel like they think they have to.
Hey, they doing what they doing what they feel like they need to do. They bringing it.
But whether it's compensatory or whether it's true,
they have a mustard seed.
I think what that gets at is the fact that his list is bullshit, and it's not just about what it looks like on the outside or all these external categories. It is truly about those things that are internally derived, like how much confidence you project, what you think about yourself, how you carry yourself, how you sort of make the best of whatever it is your list of characteristics that he thinks are important are. I think that's what truly attracts folks to people, whether we're aware of it or not. I think, it's very telling that he is an image consultant. So obviously those categorical, those externally categorical things are going to make a lot of sense to him, because he's trying to create the perfect image, not the perfect relationship. Something that looks good on the outside, but that may not be exactly what it appears to be if you look closely at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I heard it said or quoted somewhere, I don't know if this is factual, but that he has been divorced twice himself and is on, or at least he's had multiple marriages. And so maybe that speaks to the fact that maybe you still trying to get it right, bro.
Hey man,
And we all are to some extent. So I find it very easy for people to say, it's about everyone having a relationship lane based on all these characteristics, and you need to make sure that you're staying in your lane at all times with regard to what you expect.
Well, with that being said, I feel like men don't stay in their lane at all. And there have been a lot of my followers have been reposting, a lot of my male followers have been reposting this video and praising this guy. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm glad somebody finally said it, and these women need to take a page from his book, and y'all need to listen and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, have you taken a self-assessment?
Right.
Have you taken a self-assessment of yourself? Because you're the last person that needs to be telling some woman that she needs to stay in her lane and she needs to date average men such as herself. Some of these men,
I will agree with you there. In my experience, I have seen more men do the least and expect the most versus women. It's like you have all of these aspirations about what you could be, and somehow that influences how you see yourself, and that makes you think you're not only just confident enough, but entitled to the attention and affections of a certain type of woman, and that you have authority to just dismiss anybody that doesn't fit into that very narrow category. It's highly confusing.
I mean, it's insulting for you to approach a woman who is looking her best.
Right.
She has her own everything. She doesn't really need you for finances.
Right.
But here you come. You're dusty. Your hair is uneven.
Oh.
Not you. But you have no shame. You're just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm like, have you?
Gonna shoot that shot, man.
That's what I'm saying. Guys don't care. So it's like the audacity of you to tell a woman to stay in her lane, and you don't stay in yours.
Right.
And then the dude was saying, you know, what he said, he was 51. Is he like 51 or in his 50s?
Yeah,
and he's like, you know, I can't beat him off with a stick. Well, sir, guess what? If I met you, you got money, you couldn't beat me off with a stick either.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. If you are pulling these women that you claim you're pulling, that's the only reason you're pulling them, is because you have money.
Yeah.
Because you look like an avatar. You look like an avatar. You're average yourself, sir.
That was my thought. I'm like, bruh, other than this top of the line Macy suit you have on, what is it that you think that you're bringing?
Exactly.
So
no, I'm not done.
Oh, you're not done.
All you men out there.
Oh, man, Lord, she done got in the spring.
All you men out there. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, it's. I feel like if you're gonna tell women you need to stay in your lane for what you can expect to attract to you, then you need to stay in your lane too.
Absolutely.
So I'm not gonna speak to all women. I'm gonna speak to the discussion.
That would be wise.
Was it Kevin and Jessica?
Yes.
So if you notice,
paying attention.
If you notice, when he asked her about, you know, when she talked about who she was dating, and she said she dates down and she dates men that, you know, that aren't on her same level.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Or aren't high volume like she is, and so. But then when he asked her, does she know any six-figure, you know, men or earning men or whatever the case may be? She said she knew her dad and her uncle. And then he asked her if she knew any that were unrelated to her. And she was like, well, no. So the question is, like, if you don't know who you're seeking, like how are you doing this? You're saying, okay, don't worry about staying in your lane. Fine. Don't stay in your lane. Go out your lane. But if you're wanting X, but you are accommodating for Y, or you know, spend your time with Y, or catering to Y, then how are you going to find X when you don't even have X in your circle?
But that's just a matter of changing up your strategy. It's not a fundamental truth about who you are. And that's what he was saying. He was saying This is the fundamental truth of you. You are a woman who's 35. You have a child, a 13-year-old child. You have a father of that child with whom you do not have a relationship that has some involvement in the child's life. Based on those factors alone, you are you are only entitled to this type of person. That is some bullshit. That is nothing about that is true. Nothing about that is true, because if that were the case, when he was a person building his credentials, getting his chemical engineering degree or wherever he got it from, getting his high school honors diploma, those are stages in life that he went through as well. We all go through changes, and what we need is defined by sort of the circumstances we're in. She won't always be 35. She won't always have a 13-year-old child that's dependent on her. Who she is entitled to have a relationship with or to pursue as a prospect could change, and that's not limited by her circumstances.
And he wasn't saying, he was saying men aren't checking for you. He's not saying like, hey, you should stop.
But that's only because she's not putting herself out there with those men. That can be as simple as joining some sort of association or society for higher net worth Black folks, or joining the local, civic organization, or putting yourself out there in the right way. He has no idea who's looking for her.
Right, but that's an activity that she has to take. I mean, because I'm not going to say that he is correct in that there's not a man out there that she's looking for that's 6 figures. Although that whole idea of, oh, I want a man that's 6 figures that's a whole different conversation. But let's just stick with that. 6 figures, there could be somewhere that out there for her, but at the rate she's going in the behavior she's currently practicing, she ain't gonna find that.
But that's about behavior, not identity. He made it about identity, not behavior. He made it sound like no matter what you do, this is all you're ever going to be entitled to. And I promise you, if that dude can find somebody that is actually appropriate for him, she can find somebody. Trust. Because I guarantee you, if he didn't have a public platform, no one would be checking for him. No one.
Is that bond approved?
It was the head tilt for me.
Yeah, it's just like
also for me.
I truly don't get it. I find myself just extremely confused by this idea that you think all these things are sort of externally driven. And again, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that this dude is an image consultant. So obviously he is going to tell you things that promote his brand. He's not going to tell you look on the inside, because that has nothing to do with image. That has to do with who you really and truly are. And I think whether or not the outside stuff gets you together, what keeps you together is who the person is at the end of the day and how they make you feel when you are with them. And those are characteristics that are not visible upon your first meeting necessarily.
But do guys care about how a woman makes them feel?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Some do. I think they do because in the long term.
I think a man wants to have a partner that makes him feel wanted and needed.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's really interesting that you say that, because I was going to say, so men and women get different societal messaging on how they should approach relationships. I think women in large part are conditioned to find someone they can rely on, who's going to be able to provide for or make certain things a non-issue for them. And men are sort of pushed, I think, or at least in my experience, it's a competition. It's about, can I get the baddest chick out there? Can I score outside of my category, outside of my lane? Yeah. Can I get somebody that's going to make everybody else envious of me, or make people feel like I have certain things going for me because look what I can, not to debase it, but look what I can pull. And I think they're definitely sent out into the world with different ideas about what they should be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, men want to feel like, because if a man is in a relationship and he doesn't feel like the woman needs him, he's like, well, hell, what am I here for?
Right.
You don't need me, so why should I even cater, or what am I doing here?
But what's wrong with having an equal?
I mean, you can still be equals, but you still want to feel like there's men are, well, by and large, men feel they need to be providers, and men have the innate sense of being providers to their spouse, to their family, what have you. If they don't feel like they are doing that, or that their family feels that they are doing that, it does make them feel like inadequate or inferior, and it can, diminish the relationship.
So is that why men don't want high earning women?
I
know examples of men who don't, for sure.
I mean, it could be if they are not themselves. You mean?
What'd you say? If they're not
if
themselves,
they are not high earning themselves.
Either or.
I don't know. Good question. I'll let you know.
Because if you are a high earning man and you meet a high earning woman, she doesn't need your finances.
Right.
And you don't need hers.
Exactly. But at the same time, you as a man have to come strong with your other characteristics and your other qualities. What else? How can you make me feel? We'll go back to a man wants to feel needed or whatever. But when you take money out of the equation, then what are men really looking for? Because you just stated a man wants to feel like, he's providing for his family, all this. So when you take money out, then what?
I mean, providing can come in many forms. It could be,
That's true, but not all men think like that.
Provider. Yeah,
exactly. How many men have you heard say? How many men have you heard say, "I'm coming to this situation to be an emotional foundation for you"? Rarely, if ever.
Well, yeah, because sometimes they lack it themselves.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. What a family or what a woman may need, as Keita said, if y'all are financially equal and you can both pay the bills, what else are we talking about? What about goals? What about, what about my emotional support needs when you have an opportunity to go out with your boys versus stay at home with me and talk me through a hard day that I just had? Or what about, when I'm feeling insecure about myself and you're expecting me to get up, put on a sexy dress, go out with you to dinner, show off with your business associates, and I don't feel like it. What about those things? What about
so you got the two high earning people.
Yeah.
Does it then become image?
No, I think that when those things aren't a concern, the other things that you don't have in alignment start to show, because I've seen it happen many, many times where two attractive, successful people get together and you'll be having conversations with them individually. And all I hear about is how crazy the other person is, because those other things are taken care of. You're not striving for those things. They're marked off the achievement list. So you focus on the other stuff. You focus on what it is like to share company with this person. You find oftentimes that you don't have shit else in common. Nothing. It's either what's keeping you together is either the sex is off the chain, or you just don't know how to leave it because you're so invested in the idea of how you look together. I have seen that situation numerous times where what's holding two people together is something other than a genuine, authentic connection based on them being two people that like each other. I have friends that are one way with me and another way with their spouse, and the difference is so stark that when I am out with them, or when we could go out pre-COVID, they would actually think we were a couple because the chemistry was that good, because that person was free to be themselves. When they're around their spouse, they change it up completely. And there's not even a hint of that person, because they're just people with shared duties, because they have children, or they have a history together, or because they're afraid of how it would look if they were to get divorced, because everyone thinks they have a perfect marriage because they check all these boxes. But it is not about a genuine connection between those two people. And that's why I will never agree with Mr. Samuels. And I think he has the approach all the way wrong. I think it is about promoting his business. It is not about building people up and helping people to find what it is they're seeking. And he
that's definitely not his platform.
Yeah,
that's not his platform.
Not.
Because he gets more numbers. Like he gets more numbers being the way he is now.
Of course, controversy always drives interest. But I think that he was being disingenuous about it. He acted like he was telling her the capital T truth, and he was doing nothing of the sort.
But he thought he was.
He thought he was, but I don't think he deep down believed that.
No. He does.
Do you really? Do you really?
He does. He does. Along with all of his other followers. I mean,
let me tell you, bros. That man admit that.
He is bitter and he is upset about some things that have happened.
Big mad.
And all these, and I have unfollowed a few people on Instagram because they keep reposting his videos and they keep praising this man. Yeah. And I'm just like, for one, this kind of steps into the area of how most Black women feel that Black men don't have their backs. We're constantly being bashed by other races. We're constantly being labeled as different things that we are not.
Right.
But then you have our Black men that are co-signing a lot of this stuff. And it's just like, damn, who's going to have our back?
Right.
If other people are attacking us, as so we feel, and Black men are attacking us, right. It's like, what the hell? But then you expect for us to be a certain way all the time, and when we step out of character, we're labeled as angry. And it's just like, we're not, all of us are not angry. We just want to feel like somebody has our back.
Right.
And so this just kind of steps into that realm of Black men not having our back.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation. Well, I posted something. This was a few years ago about I think the guy was in the video was talking about why he doesn't date Black women. And I had several Black men come on my post and co-sign and say, well, this has been my experience with Black women and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I'm not taking away from your experience that you've had with women that you've dated.
Yeah.
But not all Black women are like that.
Right.
And I had one guy to say, well, this was my experience with my mom and with the women in my family. And I'm like, that's your dysfunctional family.
Right.
Not everybody's like that. Just because your family is dysfunctional and lacking love, care, whatever the hell it is that's making them the way that they are, doesn't mean that every Black woman is like that. So it's just, it taps into more. For me, it taps into more than just this man calling this woman average.
I would agree with that.
It's a little bit deeper, so.
So let me ask you, so should we just throw the whole TLC out the window? Like, don't go chasing waterfalls? Stick to the rivers and the lakes that we used to? Like, is that the message? Is that the stay in your lane message? Is that what we're?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Here? No, nobody, man or woman, should ever label themselves as average.
Absolutely.
If you go by society standards, and
I tell my wife all the time, I'm a phenom.
I mean, I'm extraordinary. I'm not really sure I don't even know how to spell average.
Yeah.
I'm allergic.
I don't know how to spell average. But my thing is, technically we're all average. Because these women that men think are 10s, their whole bodies are altered. Mm. They got the added hair, they got the makeup on, they've had different things added, boosted, you know. So it's like when you take away all those things, that woman is average.
Yeah.
At night, when she takes her wig off, washes her face, and puts her PJs on, she's average. Just like everybody else.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you don't have confidence in yourself, now we all have things, you know, y'all know that I can be extremely self-conscious, like very. We just had a discussion about my ears. You know, it's one reason why I rarely wear my hair all pulled back. But that also comes from different things that people have said to me.
Right.
And that shapes how we feel about ourselves as well. The different things that people have said, the way that you think people see you.
But I think that goes back to what Terrence was saying about just, you know, you grow up with these either biases or perceptions or what have you, and that shapes, you know, what you look for in life.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the times, or what you look for, or what you try to, you know,
or what you try to avoid. What you try to avoid, because I mean, look, Keita and I are both dark-skinned people. We grew up hearing all the time that we were not it. Mm-hmm. Nobody was checking for what we had. Everybody was loving what Will looks like. Nobody was loving what Keita and Terrence look like.
Well, hold on now. Speak for yourself.
Well, no.
Everybody was loving it. I'm just
that's not how I'm saying it. That's not how I'm saying it.
Everybody was loving this, okay?
Listen,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Several folks were loving this as well, but you know, the societal messaging was not that a person like us existed on the same level as someone who looked like Will. Is my point. And a lot of people, of course, bought into that while privately wanting something entirely different, because it was important for them to have a certain image, which gets back to the entire point of this whole discussion. Is it image or is it substance? And I just think that at the end of the day, it comes down to substance is what keeps people together. And what I found interesting when Will was talking is, you know, and even when Keita was talking, is sometimes men act as if they come to relationships as emotionally and value neutral. Like they just show up as a blank canvas. And it's all about how the woman acts and reacts that determines how they behave in a relationship. It's like you bring your own shit to the relationship too. And it has an impact on the other person. And that's no matter who you are. We all have experiences. We've all been conditioned. We all had family situations in which we grew up, most of which were not ideal for our development, because parents in our generation just didn't approach things the way parents today do. We didn't get asked questions. We didn't get asked how we felt. You were told how you felt. Right, exactly. And your ass could either figure it out standing upright, or you could figure it out on the floor. So, peace out. So let's get into this Pornhub discussion.
Yeah. So this past Monday, Pornhub went from I think like 11 million plus videos to like 2.9 million videos.
What was the deal?
So there was a New York Times investigation piece, a column that came out talking about how Pornhub has all of these kind of this like rape content or violence against children content. And MasterCard and Visa actually started investigating it. And then eventually MasterCard and Visa cut ties with Pornhub. I think it was like Thursday or whatever. So basically, unless you had like a Discovery card or a Diners Club card, you couldn't get Pornhub as a paid service. So Pornhub basically took out all of their unverified video content and accounts, like just wiped them out.
As a paid service?
No, just like they're just global content, free, paid, whatever. They basically eliminated all of their unverified content from their platform.
But no, I'm saying, I thought Pornhub is free, right?
It has a paid. You have a premium. You can get a premium subscription. You can pay. Yeah.
Why would you?
I don't know what that affords you. You know, in addition to
Are
what
you sure? You sure you don't know what that affords you?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure.
Mm.
Why pay for porn? I mean, geez.
I don't know. You tell me.
Exactly. I don't know either. I'm not in that. Yeah, that's not my circle. You know, you got free sites for that. But at any rate, there is a business for it, and Visa and MasterCard said I'm out. So their content went from basically got drastically reduced, probably about what was it, 75, 80%, something crazy. So not sure what's going to happen next, but I thought that was pretty interesting, that the pressure of that investigation, and hey, they got hit in the pockets. You lose Visa and MasterCard as being able to have your customers pay. I mean, you're basically out the game. So I thought it was crazy.
Apparently, this investigation brought up what was it? You said they had like rape and child.
Rape content, violence against children, content considered violence against children. Yeah.
People like some weird stuff.
Oh man,
why would you?
You got a fetish, it's out there, whatever that may be.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It is out there.
I think, I'm speculating, you know, and I listen, Pornhub, don't send me no letters. Don't nobody send me any letters. This is all alleged based on my reading or my listening to my friend Will, who's telling me about the situation. But
Will knows it all.
Right, exactly. I'm gonna let Will work this one. A lot of times, it is not actually the presence of that type of content that ends up being the problem. It is the fact that you don't have appropriate safeguards to prevent that type of content from flowing in that becomes
exactly. Yeah.
We don't want to be liable in the event the stuff is found, because it's really not MasterCard or Visa's job to determine whether you have objectionable content on your site. It is to determine whether you have appropriate safeguards. And they're for payment card industry folks like MasterCard and Visa, their main concern is going to be, is people's payment information being maintained on the site? And if it is it being maintained in a secure way that actually meets our data security standards? It's not about whether you actually have stuff that would be considered universal or illegal in the communities in which it's viewed. So, but that is a really interesting set of circumstances to have come about. And there really is a great deal of disturbing content that's universally disturbing. It's not like, people can differ, and people can have a difference of opinion about it is never okay to have individuals in those circumstances that cannot consent. Mm-hmm. Whether it be legally or some other reason, that is never okay, and there should always be appropriate safeguards against those things. And if there aren't, then it is appropriate to take action. Yeah,
and you got to think about it though, because just because it's unverified doesn't make it,
of course,
or it's just that they have not set up a system or a protocol that allows them to confirm content as being such. Right. So because of that,
yeah,
and think about the volume of content that was deemed unverified compared to,
of course,
they only had 2.9 million compared to I think 11.4.
Well, and if you think about repositories like Pornhub or Xtube or other providers, it's not just the idea that content's unverified for those purposes, but you have a lot of copyrighted material that ends up on those sites. It's reposted from other sites where the brand is very clearly advertised on the material, and people are putting it into Pornhub anyway as if it's their original material.
Right. Yeah.
Y'all are speaking about all these other sites that I know nothing about. I feel not that I want to know about, but because all I knew about was porn. Because I think you mentioned something about Twitter. Is there porn on Terrence?
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely porn on
Twitter. Yeah.
See, I'm not on Twitter, so I had no idea that there's porn on Twitter.
Any public social media platform, there is going to be porn. There's porn.
So do you know about Tumblr?
Porn, like on Twitter.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Now there are rules that prevent certain acts from being shown on Twitter, but that doesn't stop them from getting through. They're not policing those things. They're having in many cases, in my opinion, allegedly, they're having rules for the sake of having rules. There's not anyone sitting there looking at all the material that gets posted to make sure, because that would be a tremendous burden for somebody.
Oh yeah.
Or for a system to pick up on that. And you have machines that have machine learning. You have artificial intelligence that's supposed to look for certain words or certain things that indicate that you might be posting prohibited content, but those things are obviously very fallible.
Yeah, like, have you heard about was it Tumblr? Tumblr.com? So Tumblr came out. Yeah, I think it came out in like 04, 06, something like that. It was launched as a blog platform. People to start blogs and post and da.
See, that's what I knew Tumblr. I never used Tumblr, but that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, but it evolved into like a whole lot of naked stuff.
So you heard.
So you heard.
Yeah. So you.
I mean, I've seen links. Yeah. I'm not immune to people sending me links and what have you. But anyway,
click on the preview photos.
So what happened was Tumblr actually, I think it was either this year or late last year, removed all pornographic, or I guess deemed X-rated sites from their platform. So they basically did kind of the same thing with theirs. Had to clean up kind of for the same reason. So,
but they're shut down now, right?
No, Tumblr's still there.
I think they're still
in existence. It's just it's not just as big as it didn't take the ascension as people thought it would. Yeah, man. But at any rate.
So, do you have a particular opinion about all this?
Oh no, I just thought it was fascinating to have such a drastic, and you think about it just with the combination of media and financial pressures and what that snowballed into, just having that a column which led to an investigation, which led to action of I guess you could say a mainstream organization in its industry, or a high-profile organization in the industry of porn, to take such a drastic action.
Yeah.
And to say I don't think they really had a choice, because let's say you didn't do it, I mean, you still can't monetize it because you don't have the two largest, credit card or financial, credit card processing administrators on your site. So it's kind of like.
But you still you got a Discover card, so you should be good, right?
Diners Club.
So you're good, right?
Yeah, we're good.
I got a Discover card you can hold if you need to. That was my first credit card. But yeah, no,
so your profile is still active, right?
In the event you need to hold one for research purposes alone.
Yeah, just to see something.
What I think is interesting about it is some people have said that other efforts, I don't know if it's being said about this one or not, but that other efforts like the Internet Neutrality Bill that was really in the news for a while, was seen as sort of a backdoor effort to suppress commercial free speech, specifically as it relates to adult entertainment, because that is seen as a category of free speech. It's artistic expression, for two people to be portrayed, two people of consenting age to be portrayed on.
Or more.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I said or more.
Sure. Sure.
One
several.
Actually, one or more. Say it.
Indeed. Yeah. Now, any combination of folks or individuals that you want to have. But it was seen, these efforts were seen as sort of backdoor, pardon my pun, attempts to suppress free speech and freedom of expression in that particular realm.
Mm.
And obviously, you know, there's a lot, we have a First Amendment, you know, when government entities try to suppress someone's right to express themselves freely, there is a lot of, you know, those decisions and those actions undergo a lot of scrutiny. So it'll be interesting to see how this sort of, if this was an overreach, it'll be interesting to see what the fallout from that is and whether it is ultimately determined to be an overreach.
Well, it can't be an overreach if there was it was self-policing. Like they pulled their content from their site.
No, they did. No, absolutely. But
I mean, under pressure, but it was
right, exactly. And the people who actually post their content there legitimately, that does not violate any laws or is not suspect for any other reasons, that did not get a voice in whether their content would be removed, could potentially have recourse against Pornhub or whoever it was that sort of drove that decision to remove their content. You know, they can say you suppressed my right to free speech, and you were influenced by governmental officials. You were acting in a quasi-governmental capacity in doing what you did. So I now have a right to say I don't agree with that, and
come on, lawyer terms.
Yeah.
Come through, black lawyer.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure I'll listen. If any others are watching, I'm sure I'll get plenty of feedback in the inbox as to how I'm wrong.
Probably
but,
so.
Yeah, no, but listen, we welcome the feedback. Feedback is
they will come at you with articles and sections.
That, you know, and that's fine. I love a good article and a good section. We might even get Kevin Samuels up in our inbox.
Okay.
Calling us.
I wish he would crawl up in that inbox. I wish he would.
I wish he would too.
Up into our inbox.
I wish he would too, because again,
I would love to have him as another block on this Zoom session.
Oh, I would too. Listen, and you know, actually, so what's funny is that particular day that he spoke to Jessica was supposed to be a disagreement day. And where he says he invites all PhDs, I don't know what that means in that context, but
does he have a PhD?
He does not. He has a bachelor's. And
stay in his lane, then.
Correct, and a bachelor's in chemical engineering.
Probably means a hater. What was PhD used to mean? Something hater degree.
Hater degree.
Hater degree. He probably meant that.
He needs to update his vernacular in that case.
I have no idea. He may actually mean a Juris Doctor, not a Juris Doctor, but
no, that's what I have, sir.
Yes, I know that's what. That's why I just came out with the other one.
Yeah, no, but that would be interesting actually. But he took time to address his haters. It's like, no, sir. Hating is not when you're wrong. You're just wrong. That's not hating. That is correcting you on your bad assumptions and your bad takes. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with hating your game. Do what you do. Just do it well. But anyway, yeah, no. If you wanted to engage, I would absolutely be up for that. In fact, I would love to have a direct conversation with him about these things.
I don't know. I still kind of feel like there was. Again, speaking specifically to the conversation between those two, yeah, I had a couple of concerns about the young lady. So. Oh,
she definitely lacks self-esteem.
Yeah, there was some. She lacks
self-esteem, and the fact that she literally was.
She said she was a 5 without makeup and a 6 with. Like, God damn it.
Right. I'm just like, girl.
Yeah, I'm like, wow.
And then the fact that he told her that she couldn't use 7. You can't use 7. So guess what?
Everybody.
Since I can't use 7, let me just go straight to 10. Since you want to try me like that.
Yeah. She didn't jump over 7 to 8. She just like, I'm gonna stay under 7 then. Because I really want to use 7.
My thing is, we need to not.
You got to do better, man.
Yeah, you got to do better by
yourself. All around. Man.
Yes, you have to do better by yourself.
Yeah.
Before other people are going to see you a certain way. Because if you see yourself a certain way, that's going to.
Oh, it's gonna come out.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
other people are going to see that.
We're looking at real.
According to society standards, I'm average. Like I am an average woman. According to society standards, there is nothing about me that stands out. But let's not.
I'm just saying, like I don't. I'm still trying to figure out, like, how do you define? What do you? I don't know if we ever defined average. Like,
well, that's where we started.
I feel like average is because I don't wear a full face of makeup every day. I'm not walking around with weave down to my butt. You know, I'm not walking around in heels, dressed to the nines every day. I'm just according to society. Now, I don't think I'm average.
Right.
But according to society standards, I am average.
Right. Yeah, see. But I think, but I think that even is changing, because I think that's a lot of the old guard. That's like the same guard that said your hair has to be straight, or you have to have, a front lace down your back. But I think we are getting to a place, and we're getting to a time where it is embraced and appreciated that kind of less is more. And, whether it's makeup, whether it's natural hair, wearing your hair naturally, kind of all of those things. Like, it was funny, Kimberly, when I met her, I mean, this was back in 2000. I mean, she went natural, I think 2001, and rarely ever wore makeup. She hardly ever, like, I can count probably on one hand the times that she's worn makeup since I've known her. But she was that way then, and it wasn't popular then. Like, that wasn't the thing to do. But now it's kind of the in thing. But she's been doing it for forever and a day. But I think it's just it is evolving what beauty looks like. Like, we were looking at she had a Victoria's Secrets, looking online on Victoria's Secrets, and looking at the models that they have now.
Yeah.
And the whole composition of Victoria's Secrets has changed in terms of they have women with everyday bodies. They don't have the Victoria Angel models in every single scene or shoot. Size 0, no body fat, looking like they just are skin and bones. They had like women with meat on their bones and curves and just all forms. So it's where people are recognizing beauty is not homogenous.
And I believe that, but I hate to be the cynic, but let me be real for a second about why I think that is. I think it's about uncaptured markets. It's about Victoria's and other companies recognizing these are dollars. Yeah, these are dollars we have not been getting previously, and we want those dollars. It's not about recognition that there's beauty to be found in all forms, sizes, shapes, colors, all of that. It's not about that as much as it is, I want this money. And so
there was a business justification in that board meeting for the marketing campaign. Now, don't think about that. But I'm saying it took someone, like, at least recognizing it for that, but then also making a business case for it.
Okay, well then, if those standards are evolving the way that you just described, why do people like Kevin Samuels still have the platform that he has?
Come on now. It's always
the
same reason Jerry Springer's still on TV. Come on,
the bitter men out there and the low self-esteem women.
Yeah,
that's why Kevin Samuels still has.
Cheers to them. Cheers to them.
You know how I feel about Cheers.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But I figured on that one you would be down.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I like that. I'll take that.
Yeah. But anywho.
Oh.
Oh,
So we were at the store yesterday getting some shopping done, and when we got home, Kimberly was like, "Man, I had to cough so bad." She was like,
listen, be holding it in like.
"I'll be so glad this COVID shit over with, so I can actually cough in public again."
Man, you know,
look.
It hurt so much for me not to cough.
My feelings be so hurt. I'm like, I'll have some saliva that goes down the wrong pipe, and I'm like, you better hold it, man. You better don't cough with these folks' celery like that.
Oh man!
Look, I was at Dunkin' Donuts a few weeks ago picking up coffee for my instructors, and I was holding my coffee, and I'm standing in line, and I'm holding my coffee in. So I get up to the counter to order, and I can't talk because I have to cough. And at this point, I've been holding it for so long, it came out like
all at the counter.
yeah. And they're like, "Ma'am, what can I get you?" And I'm just like,
you call me like patient zero.
so I'm pulling up the menu on my phone like, I want.
Hell no. Oh man.
Oh my God. Man, it is hard out in these streets.
Yes.
Just need to call for non-COVID reasons, man.
Hey man, play COVID games, win COVID prizes.
I'm telling you.
Yes. So what else is on the docket today? So we've talked about Kevin Samuels. We've talked about Pornhub.
Don't forget Jessica.
Y'all are gonna have to go somewhere else to get your porn now because Pornhub is.
Sites link below.
That link will not be below. That link will not be below.
We're not recommending, below. Right? Yeah, no, we're not a steering committee.
If you guys would like a link, then go to Instagram / I am Love Lady, and I'm sure he will send you all the links that he has. Also, Instagram.com / TBond Esquire.
Oh no!
Has some links
put me
as well.
In that.
He has some Twitter links.
Don't put me in that. Don't put me in that. The only thing I have for you is liking the Most Likely to Day Drink podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Most Likely to Day Drink. You can find us on Twitter at ML2DD. You can find us on Facebook at Most Likely to Day Drink. And you can find us on YouTube at Most Likely to Day Drink.
Yes, like Brother Love Lady is saying, it is the number 2. Most likely the number 2 day drink.
Yep. Correct.
On all platforms except for Twitter.
See how they keep me honest.
Twitter some bitches.
Right. Won't let us have what we need.
Won't let us be great.
I know. Too much porn on there for us to get in what we need. Sad.
All right. Well, this has been an awesome episode.
Indeed.
Enjoy it, man.
Yeah. Until next time, keep drinking.
Keep drinking.
Keep drinking. Keep the culture lifted up by y'all.
Yes. Keep sipping. And
slow.
And slow.
Yeah, slower than we did. Yeah.